Don't just say like, how much money will I make? Are you ready to hire somebody tomorrow? Don't ask that, but you can say, hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be all about interviewing, just some general interview tips that have worked for me in the past. So hopefully these will help you whether you're interviewing for corporate America, a law school, Walmart, wherever you're interviewing for. Hopefully these interview tips will help you. Not only have I actually interviewed myself, but I have actually also interviewed, other people at the current job that I'm at now and also at a previous job in a completely different field. So I do have some experience with actually knowing what to look for when I am interviewing someone. So if you're interested, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, all of that, and let's go ahead and get started. I am going to break these down into what to do before the interview, what to do during the interview, and then what to do after the interview. So the first tip for before the interview is to make sure that you tailor your resume to the job that you are applying for. So go through the job posting, look at some keywords in there, some action words, and make sure that you include some of those words in your resume so that your resume will actually be pulled for an interview. Also, make sure that you research the company and the people that will be interviewing you. Make sure that you research those people before you actually go into the interview so that you have some questions in mind to ask them and that you also are ready to answer the questions that they ask you. If they ask you certain things about how will you fit into this company, what can you bring to the company, what have you done before that you think relates to this role. If you research the company beforehand, you'll be able to answer those questions way more confidently for sure. Also, when it comes to actually being prepared for the interview, make sure that you bring more than one copy of your resume. Or if you're interviewing with someone online, like via Skype or something, make sure that you email them another copy of your resume before the interview actually starts. It just shows that you're prepared. And then also with that, make sure that you bring an extra one with you too. So let's say that you think you're only interviewing with one person. You may actually be interviewing with 5 people or even 7 people. You just never know. So bring, I would say, at least 4 to 5 copies of your resume with you if you're going into an interview. Also, I guess this is kind of before doing, make sure that you are not getting there too early. Make sure that you're getting there, like I would say 5 to 10 minutes early, really 5 minutes. If you're interviewing somewhere where you have to go through like a lot of elevators or security or something, definitely get there earlier. But I think to be there any earlier than 5 minutes is kind of rude to me because I feel like you make the person interviewing you feel a little bit rushed. So be there like 5 minutes early. Also keep in mind that when you're getting there early, that your interview starts with the first person that you see. So in the parking lot, don't argue with anybody about a parking space. When you walk in and you talk to the receptionist or the assistant, be nice to them. Anyone that walks by, if they speak to you about the weather or something, just be very personable because your interview actually starts before you even meet your interviewer. Keep that in mind for sure. And then in terms of when the interview actually starts, of course, make sure you walk in, make sure you look presentable, make sure that you don't have like your hair in your face or your clothes are like, falling off of you because then you'll be uncomfortable doing the interview and that will show. So just make sure that you are like dressed comfortably, whether that's your hair, your jewelry, whatever. Just make sure that you're dressed in a way that's not gonna make you fidgety during the interview. Also, make sure, of course, that you know the general tips, shake their hand, make eye contact, be nice, smile, all of that. Those are general tips. But then make sure that when they're asking you questions, that you are answering the questions thoroughly. Make sure that you're not just giving them yes or no answers to questions. Elaborate, give examples if you have time. Don't be long-winded, but be thorough with your answers so that they have something to remember you by and something that they can say, oh yeah, well that relates to what we do here. Or, oh yeah, the person that just left was actually bad at that. You sound like you'll be good at that. So just make sure that you just don't give them dry yes and no answers to their questions. Also with that, make sure that you're positive when you answer the question. So don't be negative when you're talking about your boss or your previous coworkers or the location or the building of your previous job, anything like that. You can definitely be honest and say, yeah, I would just like to work somewhere that's not 45 minutes from my house. You can say, that wasn't a good fit for me at that time. I am looking for a role that has more of these qualities. So you put a positive spin on it. But just don't ever be negative when it comes to talking about your previous job and all that. They know obviously you're leaving for a reason. You don't have to do all of that. And if they do ask you why you're leaving, make sure that your answer is honest, but still not negative, if that makes sense. Also, I would say that when they are interviewing you, just make sure that you are like being personable the whole time. Make sure that you seem like you want to be there, like you're not getting bored and that you're not like tired, because you never know. You can go into an interview and think you're only interviewing with one person and you may end up interviewing with 5 people. They may end up walking you around the whole building and saying, oh, this is so-and-so, this is so-and-so, this is so-and-so. So make sure that you have relaxed yourself, however you relaxed that morning, the night before. Make sure that you are energized, that you're not tired, that you're not going to be yawning in people's faces. Just make sure that you're prepared to also deal with a lot of different personalities. Because let's say you're doing a panel interview and the first person you talk to is like super nice and bubbly and they're just asking casual questions. The next person that comes in the room, they may not be as casual. They may be very straight to the point. So make sure that you have different ways to answer different questions. Make sure that you're prepared to answer questions. I would even say to go on Glassdoor before the interview and look up, maybe see if they have some typical questions that they ask. Even just get on LinkedIn and Google and say like, hey, for this particular role, what are some common interview questions? So make sure that you're just prepared to answer all the questions confidently, positively, and enthusiastically. And then I mentioned relax, but like really relax. Like for me, for example, I'm sure y'all can tell I talk a little fast. I'm not even like nervous right now. So imagine me nervous. So just make sure that you relax some way so that they can actually understand you and can actually see you fitting in with everybody else on the floor and not being so anxious all the time that you get on everybody's nerves. Honestly. Another tip is to make sure that at the end of the interview, when they say, do you have any questions for us, that you ask questions. Don't just say like, how much money will I make? Are you ready to hire somebody tomorrow? Don't ask that, but you can say, oh, when are you looking to fill the role? Or what are some things that you're doing on the day-to-day that I can help you with to make your job easier? Or what are some of your 5 to 10 year goals for the company? Or you could even ask like, what are some qualities that you look for in the person that you're hiring for this role? You can ask questions like that. For sure, definitely ask questions like that. Also, I would say if you do talk about money, don't ever give like a specific number. Give them a range. So they say, well, how much are you looking to make? Give them a range and make sure that in that range, you keep it tight enough that you will be happy with whatever number they give you if they do go off of your range. Keep that in mind for your salary as well. And that's pretty much it for like, before the interview and during the interview. So now let's talk about after the interview, what to do. Of course, when you're walking out, like I said, be nice, be personable, because your interview is not done until you're out of the parking lot. Keep that in mind. But then also when you leave the interview, make sure that you send a follow-up email within 24 hours of the interview. Just say something like, hi, thank you so much for interviewing with me today and taking the time out to, meet with me for 30 minutes. I learned so much about the company. I noticed that you guys said that you were working on this. Based on my previous experience, I definitely think I can fit into that role and bring this to the table. I'm definitely looking forward to hearing back to you all. Here's some additional references. Here's an additional, copy of something I've done before. Just make sure you send a follow-up email. If you don't have the references or, like a work example, don't worry about that. But the follow-up email for sure, send that. Same thing if you're interviewing for like a law school though. After I did my law school interview, I sent a follow-up email. It was a short email. Don't send 3 paragraphs, like really 4 to 5 sentences max. Because nobody wants to read a long email. Just saying like, hey, thank you for interviewing me. We talked about this. This is how I can fit into that. Thank you, have a good day. With that though, do not keep emailing them. Like email them that one time. Do not email them every week, every day. Wait for them to respond to you, especially if they already gave you a time frame. Like if they said, we'll send you information in 3 to 5 weeks, don't email them at 3 weeks. They said 3 to 5. Give them until the 5th week and then you can start reaching out if you have any questions. If there is a job that they're asking for references, make sure that you do have 3 references in mind that will actually give you good references. Because that can happen where you get a bad reference and you won't even know it. I saw that happen before. Like I saw somebody ask somebody for a reference and they thought they were going to give them a good reference. And that's not what happened. So make sure that people give you good references if you put them down on a piece of paper. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. If you have any questions, definitely leave them down below. If you have any additional interview tips, leave those down below. I just wanted this to be a quick video just to go over some general tips. So don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. That's all for this video. Bye, y'all.